Welcome in to another edition of Dish and Ish. I'm Ravi Lulla. That is Damon Benning, old DB.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
We're in a little new location here.
It's a little different.
We've got some renovations going on at our normal space over at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Yes, indeed. I'm kind of excited about that, but it's good to be back at headquarters because I do need to finish decorating my office before.
You have an office?
They tried to put all the 55 new people in my office space. That's not happening. I will pee all over that thing and mark my territory.
I think I've been to headquarters like 3 times total.
Yeah.
So I don't spend a lot of time here.
So you should go upstairs. It's immaculate.
I've been up there.
So that's like got the better kitchen, all the drinks, the ping pong.
So we're like the annex down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have just we're like the new subdivision.
We've been exiled.
So what we need to do is we need to be collecting an SID for first floor improvements. Right, like
we got the running water going.
Yeah,
we need the new system.
We need the new park equipment, like all the stuff they lie to you about that an SID goes towards.
Absolutely,
that absolutely never happens.
Never.
It's like,
not
wait a
real
minute,
thing.
Why am I paying an SID again?
Got the roads paved out there for everybody.
Can a brother get new equipment? Can we just have a nice jungle gym?
No, you cannot.
Can you still say jungle gym?
I think so.
Do you have to say like wild safari?
I don't know why
where
you
there's
wouldn't be able
animals
to say
and plush trees, or can you say jungle?
I think you could say jungle. That's a real place.
Oh, it's 2023. It's kind of awkward.
I don't know. Don't look at me. What do I know?
Yeah, I certainly won't look to you for PC. That is 100%
What's
true.
that supposed to mean?
What won't you say?
There's a handful of words that I won't say.
Should we go back to standardized testing and what you said?
Well,
that's uttered on live radio.
That's just facts, though. I mean, have you seen the spelling bee?
Wow.
Just like Indian kid, Indian kid, Indian kid, Indian kid. The only thing, listen, once those kids can spell their own names, no word in the English language has a chance.
Can I get the origin? Latin, meaning something that 99% of the population don't understand. Oh, no problem. Let me spell that for you.
Just saying. Listen, we are a high-achieving academic people.
Oh, man. So how are things? How you been?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to get through this last week or so before we get some college football, which I'm excited about.
Are you kind of at that? Are you at the exhaustion phase of like, okay, this is cool?
You mean
I'm ready for like real games,
like practice audio? And
I don't want to
like
see
that.
Randall Cobb as a plant for Aaron Rodgers on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I've got really no interest in the preseason.
Did you watch Hard Knocks?
I watch it off and on.
It was utterly disappointing. Like if you watch it, you know what you're gonna say because you enjoy being authentic. Randall Cobb was a plant. Total plant. Like he's basically doing Aaron Rodgers' dirty work. Hey man, listen, number 12, he's gonna erupt, man. He's gonna come down on you guys. He's not throwing the ball to anybody that he doesn't trust. Know your route tree. And these young guys are looking at him like,
cool.
Why is the 71-year-old guy like?
Why is this dude who would not be in the league if it
Aaron
wasn't Rodgers
right.
didn't like strong arm the Jets into signing him?
So the funny thing is did you see the media session with Aaron Rodgers a couple days ago? Because he knows this thing is going to air.
Yeah.
Well, there may be some things in the Hard Knocks that come out, and like I'm not that guy anymore. I don't know how much I'm going to come down on guys anymore. Yada yada yada. I was like, wait a minute, you guys sent the plant.
Mm-hmm.
To tell the message to the young folks, but we're supposed to trust that you're not going to be what the plant says you're really like that you've been for 90% of your career.
Yeah, Randall's just his mouthpiece.
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm telling you though, like there are a lot of professional athletes.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 in particular that I can think of, and they both are in the NBA. There's probably another NFL guy that I'm not thinking of.
Okay.
That are like supposed to be these new people, but like when rubber meets the road and poop hits the fan,
they're
like
they always were.
The egg theory, whatever's in you comes out.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook,
I like to call it the jelly donut theory.
Yeah, when you get squeezed, it's just going.
Yeah, just whatever's inside.
And James Harden, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I thought you were going to throw Kyrie in there too, but
so I don't think Kyrie's ever professed to be somebody he's not, or given us a glimpse that he's actually changed.
Fair.
James Harden was hey, I'm going to lead the league in assists.
Yeah, trying to be the teammate.
I'm the facilitator. I'm cool in Philly. Yeah. He was that guy.
Trying to wash his image.
Right. And then almost a full year later, he's getting fined because he's
saying,
calling people our liars.
Bleep you to his general manager. Get me out of here.
That's probably not. So we don't trust
Harden,
just like we didn't trust Super Russ, right? Like, hey, I'm this.
Yeah.
Now, I do have an NFL example, and also his name happens to be
Russell Wilson.
And it's so I'll go back to a show we did almost 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And you went in on Russell Wilson.
I don't even remember this.
Dude, you told me that Russell Wilson, it was a couple of shows before you were called a libtard.
That's fair, yeah.
You said, Russell Wilson doesn't seem like the type of guy I'd want to hang out with. He seems like the guy that would be at the party trying to get things going, and nobody in there is taking him seriously.
Yes, I think that's accurate.
Dude, I thought so. This was pre-leaving for Denver.
Yes.
This was still Seattle.
Yeah. I was early on the Russ is a phony train.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was real early.
I was like, so maybe add that to the deal. But, like, do you trust Aaron Rodgers?
No.
I don't either.
No.
That's why I'm not high on the Jets.
No, I don't trust Aaron Rodgers. I don't, like, physically he could probably still do all the things that he needs to do.
No, I'm with you.
We saw it in Green Bay too. Like, his motivation is such a big determining factor for everybody, but it seems like for him especially, and maybe he's got the motivation to, flip the bird to Green Bay and say, hey, not that they really pushed him out, but they kind of did with Jordan Love.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the motivation he needs, but maybe he's just in this weird headspace. I never know what to expect from him. That's why I don't trust him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's too many variables that have nothing to do with football that impact his play, seemingly.
So are you cool with maybe if the Jets don't have a good season? Not if are you cool? You think he's cool with him probably being the scapegoat?
Oh, probably not.
Because he's really the biggest difference from a team that was like the young up and comers.
Yeah, because their roster is pretty good.
It's way legit.
Yeah, and I did this exercise at some point where I was kind of looking through the team. It might have been with you. I don't remember. We were looking through the teams in the NFL and looking at, for as much as we talk about, hey, they're a QB away, they're a QB away, they're a QB away, most teams aren't just a QB away.
Yeah.
And I think the Jets kind of are, though.
I'm with you. I'm listening.
But I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is that QB.
Yeah.
There's a ton of rosters that, you'd be better with a QB, obviously, but you're not a Super Bowl contender. If you put like Trevor Lawrence on the Jets.
Here you go. Are you trying to get me started? Are you on the Trevor Lawrence his hand,
I like Trevor
rub his
Lawrence.
palm train?
Why are we rubbing palms? I don't even rub
It's just weird. Like, it's like I feel like we're having s'mores in a campfire over Trevor Lawrence.
I like Trevor Lawrence a lot.
Okay, that's fine. I'm with you.
I'm not
going to hate.
I'm not taking him over like Mahomes or Allen or any of those guys.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
You're taking Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen.
Maybe over Allen. Not Mahomes, not Burrow.
I was about to say.
Mahomes and Burrow are my guys, which is not like a hot take, obviously. But I'll take Burrow over.
So Drew Down asked me a couple weeks ago, if Mahomes is out of the equation, this was in our 6-pack, what's the next gen quarterback I'm taking?
I want Burrow.
Do you know who I said?
Trevor Lawrence.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good call. You can't. I'm not going to be mad at Lawrence.
But I don't really enjoy. Like, I don't look at Trevor Lawrence and be like, "That's my QB." Like, I'm not going Terrell Owens over him, though, right?
My quarterback. No, I think he's really good. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not obsessed with him or anything. Like, I'm a little obsessed with Joe Burrow.
You know what I'm mad about me giving that answer?
Why?
Is I like Joe Burrow more.
Yeah.
I like Joe Burrow's intangibles. Yes. I like what he brings to the table.
'Cause
And I look at that team and I'm like, man, if Burrow doesn't play,
They're
boy,
bad.
they're pretty average.
They're
And they have a good roster.
yeah, but they're totally mediocre without Burrow.
So I'm kind of vibing with you.
And so
So
Burrow's
it doesn't make sense in my head why I answer the questions that way. I should just take
the guy that you
Burrow.
like the most.
But I just think
Physically, Trevor Lawrence is more impressive.
Lawrence has been Lawrence longer than Burrow's been Burrow.
Which is weird because Burrow's older.
And he has more success.
Yeah, and he's got more track record, even in the NFL.
I know. Does it surprise you that so there's a couple guys that I like that don't fit my personality?
Is Trevor Lawrence one of them?
100%.
Who's the other one?
So they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Vince Carter
Okay.
once quit at North Carolina, wasn't getting it enough.
Quit on Toronto.
Yep, forced his way out of Toronto. I really
And badly too. People forget because it was so long ago.
I don't.
Vince Carter like tanked it. We think James Harden mails it in. Vince Carter invented
I'm with you.
The hardcore mail in. So and that is kind of out of profile for you.
And I love Vince Carter. He is without question my favorite North Carolina player of all time. He has surpassed Sam Perkins. He has surpassed Gerald Stackhouse.
You a big Stackhouse guy?
Yes. Weird.
You just not a Jordan guy at all?
I like Jordan, but I didn't like Jordan more than I like Perkins. See, I'm old.
Okay.
So, I'm 7, 8, 9. I'm watching Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Perkins
guy. You big Worthy guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Although apparently James Worthy is like not a good guy.
I've never heard anything about him. I know literally nothing about him.
He
as a
has
person.
some Charles Haley to him.
Oh,
like when Piers tells stories about James Worthy.
Oh,
listen, that's what I heard. Not pawning it off as I'm not saying dudes defecating in people's closets or pooping in meetings, but
one of those.
Apparently James Worthy was not always easy to get along with.
Okay.
So, but listen, I'm just a little kid and I see dudes doing the Statue of Liberty and I'm like, oh,
yeah, you're like, oh, that's
sweet.
Cool. Yeah.
And I always liked the fact that he was undersized. But there's a couple of those guys. I mean, Matt Kemp doesn't fit my personality.
So your profile would be you like the guys that have intangibles over tools. Is that fair?
Yes,
that's your like normal.
That's
profile.
my normal.
That's
profile.
why these guys are outside of.
They are.
Is that why?
Because they come across as having a little bit more style than substance.
Can I make an extrapolation that you are not a huge Justin Herbert guy? Then
I don't like Herbert.
I don't either.
See, listen, I wouldn't play tiddlywinks with Justin Herbert.
Just out on him.
I just don't think he would care if he won or not.
That's how I feel. I like physically incredible, right? Yeah. Incredible athlete.
I've always been. Why would you bring him up?
Because I don't like him.
Oh, so what? Like because we're boys?
I was
we dislike the same people. Or?
I think we have a very similar.
It's just very funny how you would bring him up.
I think we have a very similar disposition with certain guys and with like certain attributes, and because I laid out what that kind of was for you, I was like, I bet this is one of the guys because I don't like him for the same reasons.
I'm serious. If I had to win a game of hopscotch, I'm not.
You're not digging.
I'm not.
I'm
absolutely not. At some point, man, you have to win something meaningful, and we all. I'm not gonna say we all because some people don't like. Some people just kind of gravitate towards
like talent,
mediocrity. Not to go all Steve Peterson, right? And so they don't want to be around elite level achievers
because they don't want to be challenged.
But I want to be around high achievers
because they make you better.
And I appreciate what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
Because winning is hard.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, I think winning is so difficult that I never take it for granted. Which is why, super close to home. Like if I had one game to win in the Metro, I'm taking Anthony Rizek.
That's your guy.
He's a winner.
Yeah. That's all he's done.
He is so close. He could suck for 3.5 quarters.
But you're going to trust him.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, but you're going to trust him when time comes.
When it's nut cutting time, I'm taking that guy.
You're riding with him.
I'm taking that guy. Caleb, I'm taking that guy.
Oh yeah.
That dude has won his whole life.
Yeah.
Right? I'm riding with that guy. So this whole quarterback thing, I think there's something to being a winner.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
You'd never guess if you looked at the draft, though.
No.
Right?
Like Anthony Richardson. I'm not an Anthony Richardson guy.
Can I be honest though?
Yeah.
I am kind of hoping he does well.
Why
I want to
is
be
that?
wrong because I listen. A big duker toilet flush on Richardson from day one.
Yeah.
Never liked
Just
it.
not interested.
I'm not.
Yeah.
But this is so stupid. I kind of want the Colts to be good because I said that they should be good. Now all bets are off.
So you're just trying to be right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get that. I root for stuff so that I'm right all the time.
Like I can't stand Irsay. I hate to see what they're doing to JT.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Jonathan Taylor guy.
Yeah.
And but I do want to see them do well because I did think that they were a quarterback away.
So full disclosure, that's part of the reason.
And Richardson is again another guy.
Does not fit your profile.
But I don't think he's going to be good.
No.
Right? I've always said that he wasn't.
You just hope that he's good enough that the Colts are good.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Correct.
So that's part of the, I do this with NBA guys a lot because I trust my talent evaluation on NBA guys more. That's kind of my sweet spot. Yeah. And so like, I just really like how he plays, but part of the reason I'm so obsessed with Curry is because I was right. Because I nailed that. I didn't think he was going to be this, but I was like, that dude's a good basketball player. Like, don't give me this too small, whatever. Like, I was right on that guy. And so I ride with him forever. On the opposite side of things, never been a Westbrook guy, right? And
yeah,
so
I used to argue with you over Westbrook.
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Was never a Westbrook guy.
I still don't think I should take an L on that, though.
I don't think,
am I taking an L on Westbrook?
I don't think so, but I don't think I am either. Like, because from a production standpoint,
I was waiting to see if you could
convince you.
Like if you stacked it, I would probably eat it. On the surface, I don't feel like I should take an L.
No, just from a pure production standpoint, like you're right. Like he is an incredibly productive, high level NBA player. But
I think the narrative is
what are you winning if he's your best player?
I think the narrative is a little disingenuous.
What do you think the narrative is?
Because I know I think people think Russ isn't a winner.
I don't think that so I don't think he's not a winner in the same way we think Justin Herbert's not a winner. I think Russ deeply cares about winning. I don't think you can win with him as your best player at the highest level.
Oh no, I will agree with that. But
that's different.
But
yeah.
In a similar discussion, and it's the whole should you or me take the L on it. It's how I feel about Luka.
Yeah, no,
I fought you tooth and nail over Luka Dončić.
You have.
And I still don't like him. And we had a conversation, was it last year? Might have been a little longer ago. You're like,
I don't like how he's playing.
I didn't see this evolution because now I kind of don't like him either.
I don't like how he plays.
That was probably last year, right?
Yeah, I think it was probably about a year ago.
Yeah.
I don't like how he plays. But
I don't think you should take an L on that because
I was right on the talent.
Yeah.
And that's all I was saying.
Yeah.
On the evaluation.
I just don't know. But how is Luka not a winner? You don't do what you've done on the international level as a kid,
right?
Being the focal point and not know how to win.
Well, so there's an interesting dynamic there with Luka because there's one of two things happening in Dallas, and I don't know which it is. Genuinely, I don't. Is either he wants to play this way, so they've built their roster to accommodate that as best as they can, and that's just not a winning style. We've seen
it's not
super one player centric thing, and it doesn't work.
Doesn't work
in the playoffs. Like you might win 60 regular season games, you're not winning a title. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. Yeah. Or they built a roster that doesn't really fit well, and so that's what he has to do. Yeah. I'm not sure which it is. I hope it's the latter because I don't want to think that this is how he wants to play basketball, because with an IQ as high as his in the sport, I would love to believe that he knows this is not a winning formula, but sometimes egos get in the way. Sometimes circumstances get in the way where this is what you end up doing.
Let me ask you something.
He basically turned into James Harden. I hate it.
Let me ask you something.
Like, I hate it.
Because there are a couple of cases on file of folks changing the way that they play that wasn't age related.
Sure.
Not just because, hey, they got old, they couldn't do the things that they used to.
It's not because they lost a step.
Like Jordan, right?
Jordan changed the way he played with Phil.
Jordan found a way to grow his game. You've developed the mid-range. He got a lot better in the post. Even though Dean Smith used to tell stories that Michael Jordan was always good in the post, right?
But he wasn't used there in the pros, really.
Okay, so I get it. Kobe Bryant is another one. Like extended his career because even when he was in his prime, he developed different repertoires.
Well, and the two examples there, Jordan and Kobe, both didn't win as the main guy until they changed.
Okay. So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Can Jeff Sims be somebody that he's never been for this team to do what they want to do?
Oh, I did not see it going that direction.
Right. Jeff Sims' track record. I don't know if you saw Sipple's piece the other day about, Coach Rule being a little like not being as in tune with his turnover history. And it kind of accentuated the positives when Collins, his former coach, was talking to him about Georgia Tech. And I was having this conversation with a couple guys the other day, and I was like, this guy, it doesn't leave anything to chance, right? Like he's well aware of what he was bringing to the table. And it was a very similar discussion with Adrian Martinez and him being turnover prone. And we kept waiting for the next year and then the next year and then the next year. And it didn't really happen, right?
Until he went to Kansas State and then he was no longer turnover prone.
But see, my defense of AM was always that he had never won at any level.
Yeah, that's
to know how to be a winner.
Yeah.
Right. So he couldn't be the focal point of your winning mentality because he didn't do it as a junior in high school, didn't play as a senior. Like he hadn't won in forever. So to have it thrust upon him and expect something different, I felt like was setting him up for disaster.
I
feel like Sims hasn't won anything.
No.
And he has been turnover prone.
Yeah.
Is there enough around him with the culture that can retool that? Because if Nebraska is going to be good and we're as excited as we are about Jeff Sims, we keep talking about quarterback run game. Has no one ever watched? And listen, hear my heart. I'm not down on Sims' ability. What I'm saying is we're hoping that he turns into be something that he's never been.
So that's totally fair.
That's all his big plays weren't design runs. He's never, I don't believe, and I got to look this up. You can maybe look this up as I'm talking. Has Jeff Sims ever rushed for more than, I'm going to say 480 yards in a season? I don't think he has.
492 as a freshman.
Okay. How many carries?
120.
Okay. I'm going to venture to guess the majority of those weren't design QB runs.
Probably not.
Okay. Big plays that I see come off of scrambles. What's his YPCs?
4.1 as a freshman, 5.3 the next year, 3.3 his last year at Georgia Tech.
For a career total of
4.2.
Okay. Are we assuming that we're all of a sudden going to see something different in this offense?
So I think there's a couple things in play here.
Okay. These are rhetorical, by the way.
Sure.
For me.
Yeah.
I'm asking to get feedback.
Yeah, so I think you brought up some really good and interesting points between the Adrian Martinez and Jeff Sims situations. Some of the key differences, I think.
Okay, talk to your boy.
Number one, it felt like they were counting on Adrian Martinez to set a winning culture to bail them out of the fact that they had no idea how to build culture.
Okay. All right, I'm with you.
I think that because
for somebody that didn't know what I was going to ask him,
yeah,
that's pretty good on the comeback.
Well, thank you. I think
because that got my okay, I'm listening.
I think they had a guy in Mackenzie Milton that could bail him out because that's who he was. I mean, even you saw it at Florida State where he was clearly a shell of who he used to be, but they liked having him around because he was kind of that guy, right? So they're like, oh, this is what a good quarterback does. He creates a winning culture. It's like, no. You got lucky with Mackenzie Milton being that guy, being capable of that. And not everyone, not that they got lucky.
Time out.
Go ahead.
How much of this has to do with the fact you don't think that Coach Frost was a winner by nature?
I don't know. I would say I don't think he was capable of creating a winning culture.
Okay.
So I think those are different things.
I respect the distinction.
I don't have an opinion on the first one. I really don't because I don't know.
Okay. Fair.
But the second, I don't think he is as the current person and coach that he is. I don't think he's capable of creating a winning culture.
Okay.
So I think Mackenzie Milton bailed him out.
Let's operate under the assumption they got lucky with Milton, bailed him out.
Got lucky with his mindset and winning culture, not with the skill set. I think they did a really good job of using his physical tools.
Okay.
So I don't think they were lucky there. I'm not saying it was all luck.
Okay.
I'm saying the fact that Milton was just like wired that way helped them out a ton at UCF.
So let me fast forward before I ask you. Let you fast forward to AM before I ask you this next question.
So AM, I think they saw physical tools that were better than Mackenzie Milton's. I think.
Okay.
And they assumed that the other stuff would also be there because it just happened to be there with Mackenzie Milton. And so since they didn't know, in my opinion, didn't know how to create a winning culture, they counted on the quarterback doing it again to bail them out. And that wasn't who AM was.
Did you find it a red flag that a freshman was voted captain?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it happens with
even in year one.
It happens with newcomers sometimes. I didn't like in retrospect. It kind of seems like a red flag. I didn't think it was at the time.
Okay. I'd love your honor. Like you don't have any problems with ownership, but keep going.
Yeah.
This is not going to be fanboy Ravi.
At the time, although my ego loves it. So,
damn.
At the time, I didn't think it was that big of a deal because he was going to be the starter. Like everybody kind of knew that he was that guy. And if he's that guy and he's a freshman, like I don't want you to not make him a captain just because he's a freshman.
Okay.
Right. But you saw when he went to Kansas State, not only was less asked of him on the football field as the centerpiece of the offense, but I think because we like Chris Kleinman, right? Like we like what he does.
Yeah, I love Kleinman.
That dude knows how to do a winning culture, right? Because all the natties up at NDSU, like they know what they're doing up there.
Got a few.
Got a closet full, I think, of trophies and jewelry from his coaching days. So I trust that they didn't need Adrian Martinez to be the culture savior or the football savior. Okay. They just needed him to be solid. They needed him to be bought in and one of the guys. That's what I'm trusting is going to happen or should happen with Jeff Sims. They don't need him to be the culture savior because they know what they're doing in terms of building a culture. And I don't think they want him to be the football savior either because they want to be able to establish a regular running game with the running backs. They want to be able to make his life relatively easy and just have him execute the things that are within his skill set.
Okay, so listen. So do we give Coach Rule with Jeff Sims the benefit of the doubt because of some of the reclamation projects he's had? Because typically the best form of future performance is
past performance.
But we love Coach Rule's development.
Yes.
So are we giving him the benefit of the doubt? Because listen, I'm watching this offense and even I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And I see them more than most. And my questions about this football team for 2023 are almost all
on the offensive side of the ball.
Almost all. Yeah. Right. We're like 3 or 4 months into this now, and I'm consistent. Never loved the wide receiver room. I've always wondered about big plays. What happens when you need to bail? When you need a bailout, there's always, again, just pass. There's always 4 or 5 passes or plays that the quarterback has to make in crunch time to get you over the hump in tightly contested games.
Yep.
And listen, none of my concerns have been about the offensive line.
Yeah, even though that's still a question mark.
100%.
Yeah, right.
100%.
It's legitimately a question mark, but there are all these other issues, right, that we don't know. We don't know if Jeff Sims can be the guy they want him to be or that they need him to be. We don't know if there's going to be enough production out of the wide receiver room. We don't know if.
So do we all of a sudden think that Sims is going to be this design quarterback ball carrier?
So I don't think so. If you listen to Satterfield, right, he talks a lot about not being afraid to use his legs. To me, that's a scramble, right?
Okay.
When he says not afraid to use his legs, to me that they're talking about scramble situations, not design runs. Because if it's a design run and you're afraid to run, then like maybe get in another line of work. But like, and this is something that I actually saw when I was watching South Carolina tape in the last few weeks. I almost feel like he Satterfield calls, and I don't really have a better term for this. Maybe you do from coaching. I call them almost designed scrambles, where I think he calls plays with routes that are likely to give either a good look, an open look in a one-on-one situation with a wide receiver, or if the defense chooses to defend those routes in a certain way, will almost certainly open up running lanes for the quarterback. And it's not really a run pass option. It's more of a like I said, design scramble is the only term I can come up with in my head. I think he designs pass routes in a way where the scramble is almost his like third or fourth progression. You like go 1, 2, 3, and if those aren't there, then the scramble's going to be there. Does that kind of make sense at all?
I mean, yeah, because I think with this offense, the design is, and I said this a couple weeks ago, I don't know exactly what the offense is supposed to look like. I know in theory it's going to be multiple personnel positions within the same personnel groupings.
Like the 49ers do.
I also, right.
Yeah.
1 minute Debo may be in the slot and he might be in the backfield.
Might line up as tight end,
he
might line up as an H-back,
right?
Yes.
It's hard to personnel that defensively.
Yes.
The other thing is I think the design is to make cornerbacks tackle linebackers cover. Just kind of at its base. But if I could give you some encouragement of who I think Sims could be, would you go to Baylor and take a look at a guy that Coach Rule loves in Charlie Brewer? Because Charlie Brewer is a guy that went from 65 attempts to 133 attempts to 147 attempts rushing the football in a season. Could Charlie Brewer, could 2019 Charlie Brewer, somebody that he hadn't been, be this year's version with Jeff Sims?
That is an interesting question.
Because that's so, like, if I was the eternal optimist, that would be the blueprint. So, because typically Coach Rule runs the ball less with his quarterbacks in his tenure. At Baylor with Brewer, he ran it more.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, do you know one of his favorite players is that he's ever coached?
Charlie Brewer.
Charlie Brewer. So wouldn't be surprised if somehow, some way that Charlie Brewer
on staff at some point
winds up in Lincoln. No, I'm dead serious. Like, he loves Charlie Brewer.
No, I totally understand that.
Is that a thing?
So I'm looking at stats here, and let's kind of see if we would think this is a successful season for Jeff Sims. You said 2019, right?
Yep.
So he played in 14 games, which if Nebraska plays in 14 games, something went well.
They were 11-1, right, in the regular season?
Yeah, and then they lost the Big 12 title game to Oklahoma in overtime, I think, and then lost their bowl game. So 14 games. He averaged about 27 pass attempts per game.
Is that good?
I think that's a little high.
So what if we snap the ball 70 times?
That probably makes sense.
Would you take a 43-27 ratio?
Sure, yeah. Just off the top of my head, the number I had in my head was 25.
Okay.
For Sims. So we're not far off.
How many times they snapping the ball on offense?
That I don't know yet. I don't know.
70? Are they ball control? Let's operate safe and go average of a team that huddles. Let's say 66 snaps.
Okay. So at 66 snaps, I'd probably like to see
41-25.
Yeah. I think that's a number I'd be happy with on like an average, right? There's going to be some games a little more,
especially
a little less.
If they run the ball. That's probably about right, I would guess, percentage-wise.
Yeah, that's what I would like to see. So maybe a little high on the passes, but you're looking at just right at 64.5% completion, which is right where they want him.
So, so at 41 carries with 66 snaps, they would be running the ball about 63% of the time.
Yeah, which I mean, I think it should be.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
Okay. It kind of sounds right to me.
I mean, off the top of my head, without doing the math, I was thinking like 60-40, and like that's the neighborhood we're in. So
you're there.
65-35, I'd probably be okay with. But I also think that means you're running the ball well, which I think is positive.
Okay.
So you're looking at right over 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. You would take those numbers from Sims passing the ball. Right?
1,000,000%.
100,000,000%, right? Yeah. Okay. Running the ball.
This is where it gets crazy. Are you going to 2019?
Yeah, I'm looking at 2019. 147 attempts.
Yep.
Only 344 yards.
Yep. How many touchdowns though?
11.
Right.
I think you're going to see a lot of QB run goal line.
See,
short yardage.
some of those rushing attempts, they're sacks. They're not
right.
They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
designed QB runs.
Right.
The 11 touchdowns
are
probably more designed QB runs.
I think short yardage, red zone, that type of things, which is the thing that I didn't think Frost did very well.
Their red zone was historically bad.
And I think
historically bad.
I think part of it was they weren't using their quarterback skill sets in a way that made it difficult on the defense, right? I'm a huge fan of, and I know you don't like it, or I don't remember if it's you or Severe that doesn't like it as much.
One of the black guys.
Yeah. One of those guys.
Look, Shane's traumatized. Shane's like, wasn't me. No, Shane, you don't count.
I didn't say it. No, it's because I remember I was hosting a morning show, and I can't remember if it was if I was hosting with you or with Michael.
One of us.
Whatever. But I really like where you kind of go, like we saw from prep against Bellevue West, the ball fake, quarterback rollout, and then he's got a run pass option.
Yeah, we're terrified of their boot game.
Yeah, it's really good. His ball fakes are really good.
When Caniglio gets out on the believe me,
he sells that thing hard.
He's a good ball. I'm with you. Okay.
I think that's one of the hardest plays to defend in short yardage.
So you want to put him in the run pass option? Get him on the edge.
Yeah, and Frost never did that.
Okay,
never did that with Martinez, and Martinez is like the perfect guy to do that.
So then you think, okay, I'll humor you.
Yeah.
Will Jeff Sims' decision making with taking care of the football come down to the positions that they put him in?
Yes.
Okay. So then you think he can become somebody he hasn't been?
Yes.
You're just surrounding him with adults and best case scenarios,
and you're putting him in positions to succeed. The thing that was criminal.
I'm convinced.
The thing that was criminal with Scott Frost and Adrian Martinez is they constantly put him in bad positions.
Okay.
They constantly did not put him in positions to succeed, and they constantly asked way too much of him to be the entire offense. That's why he looked like a different guy at Kansas State, because they didn't ask him to do that. They didn't ask him to be everything to everyone at all times and to consistently make good decisions while doing it. There's not a lot of dudes on the planet that can do that on a consistent basis, right? And when they do, they win Heismans. Okay, like those are those guys. Your Caleb Williams of the world, your Kyler Murrays and Baker Mayfields and Joe Burrows of the world. Like those are the guys you can do it with. Adrian Martinez wasn't that guy. And Jeff Sims doesn't need to be that guy. I think the biggest difference is knowing guys that you like, that you think you can put in positions to succeed, and recognizing when a guy has otherworldly talent and decision-making when they can be the extra thing.
Can Nebraska be a team that is penalized more than or less than 4 times a game?
4 times a game is not a lot.
Okay. Do you know how many teams pulled that off last year?
How many?
6. Can Nebraska be a team that is penalized less than 5 times a game?
The number I had in my head was 6.
Do you know how many teams were penalized less than 5 times a game?
How many?
27.
So that's more doable.
Can Nebraska do that? Do you want a couple of teams that were penalized
less than 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota was number 1.
That makes sense. I was going to guess Minnesota, Iowa.
How can you stay on schedule like Minnesota does and be a heavily penalized team?
You can't.
I mean, penalties Minnesota had a game?
Under 4?
3.6.
Yeah.
Oh, you're kind of smart.
I'm learning.
Man, Iowa, how many?
4.5.
4.3. Okay, I'm going to stop. 4.3.
Yeah.
I say all this to say, not to show that you're bright.
No, but
can Nebraska be a team that doesn't have pre-snap penalties and shoot themselves in the foot, stay on schedule, and win football games?
I think that's how they're going to have to win football games this year.
Okay, so you're building the case for a guy being with adults that can be. We took the long way around talking hoops and a couple of guys like Aaron Rodgers. We get back to Jeff Sims. Putting him in best case scenarios, we think we have the chance.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're banking on.
Yes, you're banking on the defense. You're banking on being solid.
I like the fact that you talk about the situations that you put guys in.
Yes, because listen, most guys are not good enough. I don't care how talented they are.
That's why you love
Greg Popovich, yes, 100%. Most guys are not
talented. You want to give
talented.
the Danny Green analogy again? Even Shane knows the Danny Green analogy. You know what they asked Danny Green to do? Exactly what he could do. Sit out there and shoot threes and defend. You can do that at a high level. We're not asking you to put the ball on the deck and get to the rim. We're not
shots. My guy can't dribble.
I feel like I've heard this before.
Listen, it's a great analogy.
But I like it.
There's not very many guys, regardless of sport, basketball, football, whatever, that are good enough to transcend being put in bad positions. Those guys just are.
That's kind of your baby too.
Those guys are
not afraid to say that.
Those guys are so rare. I don't think people appreciate how rare those guys are, because I bet at Georgia Tech, when Jeff Sims got recruited there, they thought he was one of those dudes.
You know, the funny thing about this is between me and you, there's a 2-win differential. But I said I would give my final prediction coming up this Monday. You're a 7-win guy.
Yeah.
Coming into the day, I was 5.
Yeah.
Are you going to get me to get to 7?
I think I can get you to 6.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, our guy Shane is telling us we got to get out of here. So we will wrap that up and call it a day.
I like this one.
This was a good one. We got good stuff. And that is Damon Benning. I'm Ravi Lulla. Shane Schillerberg telling us what to do.
Always.
This has been another edition of Dish and Ish.